Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
Welcome to another episode of Bite Biz. Once again, I'm your host, David Strausser, and again, we have a great show planned for today. Physical health is important. It's important to your looks, your appearance, your style, your energy level, and what people think about you. You may say, wait. I don't care what people think about me. Well, you should, and I'll tell you what. I used to be in that same boat. The result, no matter how talented I was, it was so tough to get the high-level positions like I have today. It wasn't easy. I mean, it really made my career harder because I didn't care what people thought about me. It actually worked against me. And, the truth is, people discriminate and use stereotypes, thinking I was like lazy or a bum. Can't take care of himself. How's he going to be able to sell a deal? It's kind of horrible how people think like that, and it is the crude reality of the world that we live in. Staying healthy, though, during quarantine is a challenge in and of itself, especially the early days of it. Remember back when the supply chains were strained and people were buying whatever food they could find, regardless of what they found, it didn't matter if it was junk or not. I'm sure you've heard by now the quarantine 15. Personally, I did a quarantine 20. But once I realized that, I put a quick plan of action together, and I am nearly back down to my pre-quarantine weight levels. It is tough in today's environment to stay healthy. You aren't moving as much. If you are working at home, you're more stationary. Today's guest is Matt Begansky. Matt is the co-host of Iron Diaries podcast and the owner of Iron Stella Personal Training, which is a live video personal training brand based out of Bryson City, North Carolina. Since 2008, Matt has helped people of all ages become healthier and stronger for everyday life. Let's bring Matt on in to chat with us.
Health and lifestyle.
So let's give a warm welcome to my good personal friend, Matt Begansky, who's joining us for the first time here in Bite Biz. Hi, Matt. How you doing, man?
Dave, it's so good to see you, and congrats on your new podcast. I appreciate your invite.
No problem, man. No problem. You have a lot of good stuff you're going to be sharing with us today. Let's start it off. Really easy question. This is a real softball one. Why don't you tell us about your background, who you are, so that people know that what you're telling them is valid info?
Yeah, so, man, I have a teaching degree, and I love teaching. At the time, my girlfriend was taking a job in Maryland. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what, I'm going to join you, okay? And then, so I had this opportunity to change careers, which was really cool. So I left teaching and applied for a personal training job at Bally Total Fitness, which is a dinosaur, extinct, does not exist anymore. So I spent a year there, and that was interesting. I learned a lot of things that I shouldn't do and things that I should do. And a year later, I went on my own, and I've been on my own forever. The name of my business is called Iron Stella Personal Training. It's actually named after my dog.
Your dog.
So that's a whole nother story. But she's pretty much a anti-anxiety, a buffer, I'll call her.
Right.
And I realized that she played such a pivotal role in the business, and clients just enjoyed her company. Boom, Iron Stella Personal Training was born.
Oh, that's
so it's like 2008.
Great story. So the one interesting thing there that I really heard was you were an actual teacher, and then you switched careers, become a fitness trainer. But in some respects, isn't that almost a lot of things overlap with skills that you need being a teacher and a fitness trainer, right? You're still teaching them.
It's very accurate. I'm not dealing with kids that don't want to be in the classroom. I have very motivated adults that want to learn. So I'm a kettlebell instructor. And there's a lot of teaching that goes into it. And there's a lot of breaking down of material, I'll call it,
Right.
and practice and, constant repetition in order to learn the skill set and to
Right.
be safe. And that's, it's how you keep people safe and from getting injured.
Yeah, no, that's obviously pretty important. So, right now we're in lockdown, quarantined. Looked like we were almost getting out. We might be going back in. I don't know the
Get
speed
back in the cage.
of it. Right, exactly. With that, though, I don't know if you could tell, but I put on about 15 pounds. I think they're calling it the quarantine 15. I did just lose 10 of them, though, with good diet and exercise. How hard
Congrats.
has it been for a lot of people health wise over the last few months?
There's it's more of a mental struggle, I think. It's been such a challenge for my clients, but they've been really lucky because actually they've been training
Mhm.
live video for a whole year before this really, blew up in our faces.
Right,
With regards to our lives being tossed in the washing machine and just
right.
blowing up, my clients they just responded so well. But I think overall, I think for one, I think we really value the fact that people matter to us.
Hmm.
We yearn for those interactions. And like for my wife and I,
Right.
we haven't seen family in months. It's been hard. It's isolation and not being able to go out for dinner, grab a drink with friends, go to the gym has really been a challenge for most. And I think a lot of people
People
haven't been able
are
to.
sitting down a lot more than what they
Yeah,
were because it's like, no, don't go outside.
very
And
accurate.
that's got to be detrimental to a lot of health. Now, on the flip side of that, I have my neighbor across the street. He's bragging, oh, yeah, since quarantine, I lost 12 pounds. And I'm like, how? He's like, well, I'm not commuting 4 hours a day anymore. I got time to do exercise. So, yeah.
That's a valid point also. And no, I think there's been a lot of good things that have come out of this whole situation. I think people panicked in the beginning. They were just like, time to drink. you know, Alcohol sales have gone up,
Oh,
skyrocketed.
yeah.
I think you're right. People have been sitting in front of the TV more than usual.
Right.
They're sitting in front of their computers for work.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the next breath, I mean, it doesn't take much to have a home gym,
Right.
but it comes back to motivation. There's many factors, or everyone would look the same, right?
Right. What about diets? I mean, I'd imagine, I know in our house, because of the stress on the food chains, that eating healthy like we did pre quarantine got a lot tougher. I mean, even now, it's gotten better, but the vegetables, fruits you're seeing, they're not as fresh as they
Yeah.
were back in February. Are you seeing that? Is there any validity to that as well?
Well, I mean, so we live in a mountain community,
Yeah.
so there's one grocery store. Okay,
Wow.
if the truck doesn't arrive,
Mm-hmm.
so we have our very, I'll call them special needs, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I don't think we, align with the rest of, like a big city, I should
Mm-hmm.
say. We have relied on other products such as Misfit Market, which
Okay.
is awesome. They send you a box of produce.
Whoa. Wow.
Um, it's fantastic. And then we
What
also
you said?
use
Misfit?
Misfit Market.
Is that the
They
one
do
that has like the ugly ones that are all deformed and stuff?
exactly, but
Oh yeah.
it's not like that. Their
Okay.
marketing campaign is very misleading, and I thought that we were going to. It's high quality produce, and we actually haven't had any problems with it.
Oh, that's
They're batting 1,000,
yeah.
over the course of our, the quarantine. But we're also using Blue Apron,
Yeah.
which is a meal delivery service, and then we supplement with a local farm in Bryson City here, Darnell Farms.
Right.
And we have a meat guide too that we go to. So we have the products, and I feel like for me personally, obviously my job is fitness. I really haven't had any issues because this is my norm. I've been preparing for this for the last year.
Yeah. You found ways to kind of supplement your meals to still stay with that consistency of eating healthy, high quality foods. And that's
Exactly.
great. I've been hitting hard the protein shakes with Premier Protein. I love them. They're great. A lot of people do things, the smoothies or shakes. But, diet, as we led to earlier, is only half the recipe to good health. You also have to do the exercise. So, what is it that your agency offers that's able to help people during quarantine? And what are some of the things they can do at home?
Right. When I developed, so I'll rewind a little bit. So
Yeah.
while I was in Maryland, in Silver Spring, Maryland, I had a at-home studio. Okay, so clients came to the house, they went through a workout, and then went about their business. So when my wife and I moved in 2019, and a couple clients said, "Hey, listen, we still want to stay with you. You have to figure out how to make this work."
Right.
So I said, "Okay, the only way I'm doing this is if we do live video personal training, and we do that via FaceTime or Skype, just like how we're communicating right now."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm able to look at their form. It's been really cool.
So you've been doing this before the pandemic, right?
Yes. So
That's
I've been.
amazing. You were ahead of the curve.
I know. I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate. I feel bad for people that have brick and mortar and that have been. It has not been easy.
Oh, I can imagine. And that's one of the reasons that I had wanted to bring you in, not just to talk about general health, but you're also a business owner. You have a very interesting story going back with how you've been already doing fitness digitally. How has COVID impacted you? If anything, I would think a business like yours that's built around digital interactions would have exploded, seeing more interest as people started accepting digital fitness. Is that the case?
I mean, it's definitely not as intimate as being one-on-one.
Yes.
So I mean, that's like the biggest con. And even for me, like I'm a people person.
Yep.
And I thrive off human interaction.
Yeah.
In order for this to work, which I used to script workouts, what I'm doing is not special. You could throw a search engine out on Google and find millions of hits. But when I developed the new portion of the business, I promised myself that, the integrity is like a big part of who I am as a business person. And
integrity is huge.
It's huge. And, being honest with people, given a product that can't be matched by your colleagues. And that was the goal from the beginning. So I said I could hit a lot of people by just mass producing workouts and sending them via email and charging a subscription.
Right.
But that just doesn't do anything for me mentally.
Yeah.
Right. So I said, the only way I'm doing this is if I have people in front of me wearing headphones and they're able to communicate with me via FaceTime or Skype or Zoom. And
doing the exercise with them as well, or are you just monitoring and coaching?
No, it's all direct instruction.
Right.
The fascinating part is I thought it was going to be like purely visual, but it's really auditory. They're hearing me, and then they're performing.
Oh, that's great.
So it's been really fascinating.
So one thing I'm confused about is, the digital transformation everybody's going with. But one thing you just said is like what you're doing is nothing special. You can do a Google search and find a million different similar exercises. Then why is having a fitness trainer like you important to drive the fitness on?
So, I'm the accountability. I text my clients, the night before an appointment, after our workouts, the
You
day of our
sound like
workout. It's the
me. You
day
sound
after.
like me during a sales cycle.
Yeah, I am hands-on. So
Yeah.
like when you conform to my product and
Mhm.
meet me halfway, I'm your resource. I work 365 days a year. I'm always available via text message. And yeah, I mean, so
So it sounds like you're almost like, I mean, this is not, and this is what's really cool about this platform. You're not just somebody who's like yelling at the screen, oh, go harder,
no,
push more. You're actually more like a life coach for them to get them into the healthy lifestyle in a way, right?
very accurate. I mean, I can't call myself a life coach,
Right,
because people go to school for that.
right.
But I know more about my clients and, probably their spouses do. I've
Wow.
been through a lot of interesting experiences with my clients. I could probably write a book right now.
uh, that's the next
But
step.
it's like a very, very, very special relationship. It's like part shrink
Hmm.
and part trainer,
Right.
because personal training isn't just the physical component. It's
Right.
not how much they can lift.
Hmm.
There's a mental component, huge mental component,
Right.
and I probably spend more time on the mind than I do talking about how much they could press or squat,
Hmm.
because I know that the mental component pays bigger dividends, right?
Are you
You
talking
know,
about with the mental component trying to turn the I can'ts into the I cans?
sure. I mean, we're all human, right? And we're fragile and we have bad days and,
Some
you
more
know,
fragile than others.
yeah, you know, but my job is to keep people flying in the middle. That's basically what I do. And I love it,
Oh yeah.
and I get
Oh,
to
you're
I get to
passionate
teach
about it.
kettlebells. What's that?
No, you're very passionate about
Yeah,
what you do. So let's circle back to this pandemic. You have a lot more people gaining weight because of the inactivity, because of poor diet. Okay, I mean that has negative results for their family life, for their mental well-being, for their work performance. I'm sure.
sure. It's so funny you say that, because I hate to even say this is like a business pitch, but I'm about to release a product, and it's going to encompass families and build healthy families, and so I'll have to share with you down the road. But like, if I could give wisdom to throw some wisdom out to people,
Oh yeah, please.
um, just get around, talk to your loved ones about becoming healthier.
Hmm.
Let it be known that you have goals, and work together. you
About
know
being healthier, but not like shaming people about that,
no,
right? You
supporting
gotta
each other.
supporting each other, not shaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm
you know
not gonna go to my wife and say, "Hey, hun," I'd probably get
exactly.
in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the wrong thing to say.
It's so funny, because like last night I had ice cream.
Yes.
I there's a misconception of what trainers are, right? So I love bourbon, I love craft beer, I love brownies, I'm an ice cream junkie. And in
Yep.
fact, I used to weigh 300 pounds, and I lost a lot of weight.
I
And
used to be 340.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Big.
So it's, weight loss is a very, very, very powerful thing.
It is. For me, it was transformative. Everything I had up in life when I was a big guy, I had to fight tooth and nail for. There is a level of discrimination because they view the body. Oh, he must not take care of himself, or they have
Yeah.
there's a lot of stereotypes like that, and it wasn't until I dropped down to about 200 pounds that people started taking me seriously. Then instead of getting job offers that are like, oh, hey, we'll give you 3,000 a month, maybe you can hit, 80,000 a year as a sales rep. Instead of getting those, it started coming into where I'm getting salary offers for base salary just because I looked the part finally of what they
Right.
imagined of success. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, it's kind of bad that people think about that. It's one of those, like, just biases that are hard to overcome.
Yeah, I think it's how people carry themselves. And over being overweight is not easy. And as you know, it's deeper than just the size of your belt, right? You
Right.
know, there's a lot of mental repercussions to losing weight. And even, I don't know if you've experienced this, but even once you got to like 220, you still perceive yourself as being heavier. You know,
You know,
I know for myself,
yeah.
and that's really crazy when you think about it. That you've dropped, 90 pounds, you've done all this great stuff in life, but it's not good enough.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know. And when you said
It's tough.
220, it actually hit that hit me deep, Matt, because I in January I was weighing. I think I use Fitbit, so I have the scale logs it in, and in January it was about 197, 198. And then I'm looking, and at the end of, I think it was the end of May, early June, it was like 222, and it's like, oh my, that I felt. I'm feeling it on my chest. I feel it around my stomach, and that's when I actually did hardcore keto, dropped down 10 pounds, and right now I'm between the both. I'm around 210, 212 right now. Definitely fighting with that. Although I did not like a side effect from keto. I don't know if you can see, but my forehead all broke out when I did the keto diet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, I advocate for, just eating whole foods,
yeah,
not the supermarket, but, get your protein, get your vegetables in, get your fruits, whole grains.
right.
Just minimize your processed foods. Another
Balanced
thing is
diet.
I believe in scripting cheat snacks,
Yeah,
because there's light years between the statements of you controlling food and food controlling you.
right.
And once you get that dialed in, man, the sky is the limit what you're able to achieve.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. So we do gotta start wrapping this up. I think the main question I'd like to really end with. Let's say budget's tight. Maybe you got laid off. You don't have money to spend for fitness or a coach or anything like that, a trainer.
Sure.
What can people do at home with typically what normal people have in their house in order to try to get active while still staying safe from the pandemic?
Absolutely. I mean, I have a client who is living in London as we speak.
Wow.
And I don't want to say trapped, but she's living there temporarily.
Wow.
So she doesn't have access to weights. So
Yeah.
she's using big water jugs. And
Oh
we could
wow.
do squats, we could do lunges, we could do rows. We crawl with those jugs. We do all kinds of stuff. We do deadlifts. People could use suitcases, old like JanSport book bags,
Yeah.
and pack them with books and,
I remember your Jan
duffel
Sport book
bags.
bag from elementary school, Matt. I'm kidding.
JanSport.
Well,
Yeah,
we were
I
kids.
mean,
That was
so
popular.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So like, weight is weight, whether it's
Mhm.
books or water or sand, and learn how to squat properly, learn how to do push-ups, bridging exercises, and then you have a full body workout.
Right, right. How effective are I call them traditional, but if you look at push-ups, sit-ups, how effective are they compared to a lot of the other exercises that you've mentioned?
No, I mean, so it's really movement.
Uh-huh.
For example, an upper body pressing movement. Okay. So, I look at workouts not according to exercise, but according to movement. Okay.
Mhm.
So, since you brought up push ups, they're an upper body pressing movement. So, it's just like Cinderella in the shoe. When the exercise fits, that's where you're at, right?
Right.
You could go get into crawling, you could do push ups, you could do handstands, all different kinds of forearm balances if you're into like yoga and stuff like that. All
Right.
that stuff is great. It'll build great strength over time.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so if you're
Especially
doing the
right now.
basics, right? If
Absolutely.
you're doing the basics, push-ups, sit-ups, that's still a
Squats.
heck of a lot better than nothing. Okay, okay.
Absolutely. The basics always prevail.
Perfect. That's really good info. Now, the very, very last thing I wanted to let you mention is you also have a podcast, right?
Absolutely. My buddy Chris Preston and he's Canadian.
Okay.
He's from Ontario, and he's a fellow personal trainer and dad. Yeah, so we teamed up. He actually contacted me about the online business, personal training business, and we just sort of hit it off. And I said to him, I said, would you be interested in doing a podcast? And he's like, yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
So yes, Iron Diaries podcast. We're available on Spotify.
Okay, on Spotify, we will include the link in the description of the YouTube video.
Yeah, absolutely.
People that are on Spotify listening to this, make sure you check it out. How can people get in touch with you?
So I'm available by visiting ironstella.com.
And Stella is Stella?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Iron, IRONSTELLA.com, and all my contacts are there.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any closing words?
David, thank you so much for having me. It was good, man. It's so good to see you. It's been too many years.
Yeah, it has been. It has been way too many years. Thank you so much for getting on here. I hope that our listeners got a couple good things out of this phone call just from personal fitness, healthness, and also the business idea as far as how you're managing your business during this pandemic. That I think is the gold mine right there, because it's going to hopefully give ideas to other people out there that are suffering or struggling a little bit, so that they can try to make their pivots and bounce back as well too.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, you could contact me, and I will gladly respond.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I wish you the best, David.
Yep.
It's been fun. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye. That was a fun discussion covering various different health topics, many of which were personal to me. Losing weight, staying fit, the importance of staying fit. I got really personal in this story, giving some of my challenges I faced with weight and with business. The lockdowns and quarantines have only amplified that struggle, but it comes down to a balanced, low carb, for me at least, low carb diet with some exercise, and then using things like Fitbit in order to help make sure I am accountable to reach my goals. On the other hand, we heard stories about people that are working from home that previously were traveling all the time, or maybe they were working in an office and had to commute every day. All of a sudden, they got a couple hours of free time. So now it actually allows them to live a much healthier lifestyle than they were when they had to do the commute or nonstop travel. Either way, regardless of your goals, I really encourage you to follow the Iron Diaries podcast and to step up your healthy routine. How has quarantine affected your health and mental fitness? Share below some of your tips, some of your strategies, so that others can follow suit. Please remember to subscribe to this podcast so that you get all the brand new episodes once they drop. Till next time, see you then. This is Bite Biz.